First contact. The year was 2057, when humanity first learned they were not alone in the universe. A massive ship appeared in Earth's orbit one ordinary Tuesday morning, causing panic and wonder across the globe. Ambassador Krelfax, a tall, six-limbed being with iridescent scales and piercing yellow eyes, arrived with a delegation of 12 different alien species. They called themselves representatives of the Galactic Empire, a confederation of over 300 spacefaring civilizations. "We come in peace and with an opportunity," Krelfax announced during the first broadcast to Earth. "Your species has reached the technological threshold for consideration of membership in our grand community of worlds." World leaders scrambled to form a response team. Among those selected were John Miller, a quiet but brilliant CIA analyst known for his pattern recognition skills, and Lisa Warren, a respected UN diplomat with a reputation for straight talk and keen intuition. "I don't like how they just showed up," John told Lisa as they prepared for their first meeting with the Imperial delegation. Any advanced civilization would understand the shock value of their arrival. Lisa nodded, adjusting her blue suit jacket. They wanted to demonstrate power. Classic negotiation tactic: start with an advantage. The first meetings took place at a specially constructed facility in Geneva. The aliens brought gifts: medical technology that could cure several forms of cancer, efficient energy systems, and agricultural innovations. Each presentation ended with the same message: this was just a small sample of what Earth could access as an Imperial member. "The benefits of joining our collective are substantial," explained Krelfax, his translator device converting his clicking speech to smooth English. "Protection, trade, technology, cultural exchange, all available once the membership treaty is signed." During the third day of talks, John noticed something strange in the documentation the aliens had provided. The Empire organized species into classification tiers, from Class 1 at the top to Class 7 at the bottom. Humans would enter as Class 4, he whispered to Lisa during a break. "But look at the fine print about resource taxation and representation rights." Lisa frowned as she studied the details. Class 4 species were required to provide significant resource quotas and receive minimal representation in Imperial decisions. Furthermore, Earth would need to host Imperial bases and allow unrestricted movement of Imperial citizens. "They're not offering partnership," John said. "They're offering colonization with a pretty name." That evening, their suspicions deepened when a junior member of John's team discovered surveillance devices in their quarters. Small, nearly invisible discs had been placed in every room where the human delegation worked or slept. "They're monitoring everything we say," Lisa realized. "The question is why." "I think they expect resistance," John replied. "They want to know our weaknesses, our divisions. Look at how they've been approaching different nations with slightly different offers." A week into the negotiations, John received a classified file from a colleague at NSA. Imperial communications had been partially decrypted, revealing disturbing discussions about Earth's resource potential and strategic position. One message referred to humans as typically stubborn but ultimately manageable. When Lisa presented these concerns to the UN Security Council, she faced skepticism from several nations eager for Imperial technology. "We can't ignore the potential benefits," argued one representative. "This could end poverty, disease, energy shortages, all our greatest challenges." "At what cost?" Lisa countered. "Our freedom, our resources, our very identity as humans." As the diplomatic dance continued, John and Lisa formed a secret task force with scientist Alex Foster and Colonel Maria Sanchez to dig deeper into the Empire's true intentions. What they discovered would change humanity's path forever. Meanwhile, Ambassador Krelfax watched Earth's cities from his ship with cold calculation. This world would serve the Empire well, whether its inhabitants wished to or not. The investigation. John Miller gathered his secret team in a secure underground facility beneath Washington, D.C. Lisa Warren, Alex Foster, and Maria Sanchez sat around a table covered with documents and holographic displays. "We need to know more about how the Empire treats its newer members," John said, pulling up images of 3 planets. These worlds joined within the last 50 Earth years. Alex, a physicist with wild curly hair and tired eyes, pointed to the first planet. Navarra joined 27 years ago as a Class 5 civilization. They had just developed faster-than-light communication when the Empire arrived. Maria, her military uniform crisp even after 18 hours on duty, swiped to display environmental scans. Within 5 years, their largest continent showed massive mining operations. Imperial records classify these as development zones. "Look at the before and after," Lisa said quietly. The images showed lush forests replaced by enormous strip mines and processing facilities. John nodded grimly. "I found similar patterns on all 12 newest Empire members. They call it progress, but it looks like exploitation." Their investigation continued for weeks. Each day brought more disturbing evidence. Alex managed to hack into an Imperial database with help from friendly aliens who seemed unhappy with their own place in the Empire. "They're not just here for resources," Alex explained, showing the team a classified Imperial military assessment. "Earth sits at a strategic crossroads between 3 galactic arms. They want our planet as a military stronghold." Maria's contacts in global intelligence agencies confirmed increasing Imperial activities. "They're mapping our defense systems, water supplies, power grids. This isn't diplomatic preparation, it's invasion planning." One evening, Lisa received an encrypted message from a low-ranking Imperial aide from a species called the Tyranni. They met secretly in a park in Geneva. "My people were like yours once," the small, furry alien told her. "Proud, independent. We believed the Empire's promises. Now we are little more than servants. Our homeworld's resources are gone. Our people scattered as labor across Imperial worlds." The aide slipped Lisa a data crystal. "This contains the true resource extraction plans for Earth. Your people must know." The crystal's contents shocked even the cynical members of the team. The Empire planned to strip mine large portions of Earth, divert major water systems, and establish military bases across the globe. Humans would be encouraged to accept jobs throughout the Empire, gradually reducing Earth's population. Meanwhile, public opinion was dividing sharply. Imperial representatives visited major cities, offering medical treatments and technological marvels. Many humans were enchanted by the possibilities. "They're using the classic playbook," Maria explained during an emergency UN Security Council meeting. "Divide the population, create pro-imperial factions, then use those divisions to justify greater intervention." Global protests began as the team's findings leaked to the public. People marched in streets worldwide, carrying signs reading "Earth for Humans" and "No to Imperial Rule." Ambassador Krell Thax increased the pressure, scheduling daily appearances on news programs. "Your people risk losing a historic opportunity," he warned. "The benefits we offer come once in a civilization's lifetime." John's team discovered listening devices in the UN headquarters and most government buildings worldwide. When confronted, Imperial representatives dismissed concerns as cultural misunderstandings about privacy. The final piece came when Lisa and John uncovered evidence of 3 civilizations that had refused Imperial membership. All had suffered mysterious natural disasters within years of their refusal. "They're not leaving without a fight," John told the others as they prepared to present their complete findings to world leaders. "The question is, are we ready to stand our ground?" Outside, Ambassador Krell Thax watched Earth's cities from his orbital ship, his patience wearing thin. The Empire always got what it wanted, one way or another. The decision. World leaders from 195 nations gathered in Geneva for what media outlets called the most important summit in human history. The Grand Assembly Hall buzzed with tension as presidents, prime ministers, and monarchs took their seats beneath the crystal chandeliers. Outside, millions of citizens watched on giant screens in public squares. Some waved pro-empire signs, attracted by promises of advanced medicine and technology. Others held protest banners demanding independence. Police kept the groups separated as emotions ran high. "We face a choice that will define humanity's future," began the UN Secretary-General. "Join the Galactic Empire or declare our independence." Ambassador Krelfax sat with his delegation, his scaled skin reflecting the lights as he watched with unblinking yellow eyes. Behind him, 12 different alien species represented the Empire's diversity and its power. The debate lasted hours. The Brazilian president spoke of economic opportunities. The Japanese prime minister warned of military vulnerabilities. The Nigerian representative questioned the Empire's true intentions. "Why the rush?" asked the Canadian prime minister. "If this offer is genuine, surely we deserve time to consider all implications." Krelfax rose smoothly. "The Empire has many demands on its resources. This opportunity window will not remain open indefinitely." Lisa Warren approached the podium when called, her heart pounding. John Miller had helped prepare her remarks, but the words had to come from her heart. "Distinguished leaders," she began, her voice steady despite her nerves. "I spent weeks with the Imperial delegation. I studied their offers, their history, and their treatment of other worlds." She displayed images of planets before and after Imperial membership. Lush worlds reduced to mining operations. Indigenous populations relocated to make room for Imperial bases. "The Empire doesn't seek partners," Lisa continued. "It seeks resources and strategic positions. Earth is valuable not for our culture or our potential, but for what can be extracted from our lands and our people." Murmurs filled the hall as she revealed intercepted Imperial communications, describing humans as typically stubborn but manageable with proper incentives. "We are being offered a gilded cage," Lisa said, her voice rising. "The medicine, the technology. These are small payments for the wealth they plan to take. This isn't membership. It's colonization with better marketing." Ambassador Krelfax's translator emitted angry clicks as he demanded to respond. "These accusations are baseless," he stated. "We offer advancement and protection in a dangerous galaxy. Without us, you remain vulnerable to threats you cannot imagine." The Russian president stood. "Is that a threat, Ambassador?" "Merely reality," Krelfax replied smoothly. As the debate continued, Maria Sanchez slipped John a note. Imperial ships were changing position in orbit. Military activity was increasing. The Chinese president proposed a compromise. Limited partnership with strict protections for Earth's sovereignty. Several nations nodded approval. Lisa returned to the podium. "There is no compromise with those who see you as property. We must stand united or fall divided." The vote began at sunset. One by one, nations cast their ballots. The count was displayed on giant screens worldwide. When the final tally appeared, a hush fell over the assembly. 87% had voted to reject Imperial membership. The Secretary-General turned to Ambassador Krelfax. "Humanity has decided. We decline membership in your empire. We choose independence." Krelfax's expression didn't change, but his voice carried new coldness. "Your species makes a grave error. Isolation in this galaxy carries consequences." "This isn't isolation," replied the Secretary-General. "This is sovereignty." The summit concluded with the formation of the United Earth Defense Council, with representatives from all nations. Their first official act was drafting Earth's Declaration of Independence from Imperial influence. As night fell, John watched Imperial ships repositioning in orbit. "They're not leaving," he told Lisa. "We didn't expect them to," she replied. "But now we face them united." Across Earth, military forces went on high alert. The real struggle was just beginning. Imperial response. Earth's rejection of Imperial membership sent shockwaves through the Galactic Empire. Within hours, a massive Imperial battlecruiser named Dominion appeared in Earth's orbit. Its hull stretched nearly 5 miles long, dwarfing the diplomatic vessels that had arrived earlier. "This is merely a protective presence," Ambassador Krelfax explained on global broadcasts. "The Empire wishes to ensure continued peaceful relations during this adjustment period." John Miller watched the ship's arrival from the Pentagon Space Monitoring Center. "That's not a diplomatic vessel," he noted grimly. "Those are weapon ports along its sides." Maria Sanchez nodded. "Our satellites count at least 80 energy cannons. They're not hiding their military capabilities anymore." The Empire's next move came through economics. 3 major off-world corporations that had begun negotiations with Earth suddenly withdrew. Imperial trading partners issued statements expressing safety concerns about Earth commerce. The global stock markets plunged. Economic pressure first, Lisa Warren explained to the United Earth Defense Council. "They want us to feel isolated and vulnerable before escalating." She was right. Within days, Imperial representatives met with leaders from nations that had voted for membership. They offered special bilateral agreements, advanced technology, and protection in exchange for minimal basing rights. "They're trying to divide us," the Brazilian president warned during an emergency session. "We must remain united." John's intelligence team intercepted concerning communications between Imperial agents already on Earth. Working through the night, they uncovered a plot to sabotage key defense installations in 12 countries. "They've had people in place for months," John reported. Sleeper agents integrated into research facilities, military bases, and communication centers. Maria led a coordinated global operation to capture these agents. Teams of special forces moved simultaneously across the world, arresting 53 Imperial operatives. The evidence recovered proved the Empire had been planning conquest since their first arrival. Ambassador Krell demanded the immediate release of Imperial citizens being unjustly detained. When Earth refused, all diplomatic channels went silent. The next morning, smaller Imperial ships took position above major cities. A new message broadcast worldwide. For the safety and stability of this region, the Empire must establish peacekeeping operations on Earth. Resistance will only cause unnecessary suffering. The United Earth Defense Council convened an emergency session. After 4 hours of debate, they issued a single unified response that was transmitted to every Imperial vessel. "Earth to Galactic Empire. You are not welcome here." Within hours, Imperial shuttles began descending toward strategic locations, military bases, government centers, and resource-rich regions. Earth was ready. For the first time in human history, all nations' military forces operated under unified command. When Imperial troops landed at a military base outside of Moscow, they found themselves surrounded by a combined force of Russian, American, and Chinese soldiers. Similar scenes played out across the globe as humanity stood together against the invaders. Communications from the Imperial ships revealed confusion among their commanders. They had expected a divided response, with some nations welcoming Imperial forces. "They don't understand unity," Lisa observed. "Their entire system is built on hierarchy and dominance. Cooperation between equals doesn't compute for them." The Empire's response was swift and harsh. Orbital weapons fired on military installations in 6 countries. Communications satellites were disabled. A full blockade of Earth was announced. "This planet is now under Imperial quarantine," declared Krell. "Submit to Imperial authority, or face the consequences of your defiance." As night fell across North America, John watched Imperial landing craft preparing for a larger deployment. The real test was about to begin. "They still think we'll break," he told Maria as they prepared defense plans. "They don't understand what they've done." "What's that?" she asked. "They've given humanity something we've never had before," John replied, watching nations coordinate their defensive efforts. "A common enemy." Resistance begins. The first Imperial landing ships touched down near major cities worldwide. Their gray hulls gleamed in the morning sun as ramps lowered and armored troops marched out in perfect formation. They expected quick surrender from an overwhelmed primitive species. They were wrong. Humanity had prepared. As Imperial forces advanced toward Chicago, they encountered empty streets. No officials waited to surrender the city. No civilians fled in panic. The eerie silence should have warned them. "Perimeter established," reported the Imperial commander, moving to secure central administration buildings. As the troops reached Michigan Avenue, the trap was sprung. Civilian vehicles, modified with makeshift armor, roared from side streets. Construction equipment, repurposed as battering rams, smashed into Imperial formations. From windows above, defenders unleashed a barrage of improvised explosives. Similar scenes played out in Beijing, Lagos, Rio de Janeiro, and 30 other landing zones. The Imperial forces, expecting conventional military opposition, found themselves facing resourceful civilian resistance alongside coordinated military strikes. "They expected us to fight like them," Maria Sanchez explained to resistance leaders worldwide via Secure Link. "Standard formations, predictable tactics. Instead, we fight like us. Adaptable, creative, unpredictable." In his laboratory beneath the Rocky Mountains, Alex Foster worked furiously with a team of scientists from 23 countries. They had captured Imperial communication devices and were reverse engineering the technology. "Their systems operate on quantum frequencies we never considered," Alex told John during a brief break. His eyes were red from lack of sleep. "But we're making progress. Give me 48 more hours." John nodded. "That's all the time Earth can give you." Above them, orbital battles rage. Earth's hastily upgraded defense satellites couldn't match Imperial firepower, but they could disrupt landing operations. Each hour gained meant more time for ground forces to prepare. In Spain, a single Imperial shuttle crashed near Valencia. Within minutes, locals swarmed the site. By the time Imperial recovery teams arrived, humans had disappeared with key technology components. "They're learning too quickly," warned an Imperial commander in an intercepted transmission. "Request permission to use planetary bombardment to end resistance." The request was denied. "The Emperor wants this world intact," came the response. "Resources cannot be harvested from ashes." This hesitation gave humanity its greatest advantage. The Empire could have destroyed Earth from orbit, but chose not to for practical reasons. They needed what Earth had: its minerals, its water, its strategic position. Lisa Warren established secure communication channels with resistance movements on other conquered worlds. Ancient species who had lived under Imperial rule for centuries offered advice and support. "Your unity confuses them," explained a Tyranny resistance leader. "In 3,000 years, the Empire has never encountered a species that put aside internal differences so completely when threatened." Public morale soared when news spread of the first major victory. Near Sydney, Australian and New Zealand forces, supported by civilian boat operators, surrounded and captured an Imperial landing base. 3 Imperial ships and over 200 troops were taken. Alex's team achieved their breakthrough on the 7th day. They cracked Imperial communications encryption and developed jammers that could disrupt Imperial targeting systems. "Their technology is advanced but surprisingly standardized," Alex explained during the global briefing. "They value uniformity over adaptability. We can use that against them." Armed with this new technology, Earth's defenders achieved more victories. Imperial landing zones were contained. Supply lines were disrupted. Captured Imperial weapons were turned against their former owners. In orbit, the Imperial command grew concerned. Reports to the Galactic Council showed mounting losses with minimal territorial gains. For the first time in centuries, an Imperial conquest was failing. "This resistance cannot last," insisted Ambassador Krelfax during an emergency meeting with his superiors. "Humans are primitive and disorganized." But the evidence suggested otherwise. Across Earth, the message spread: "Hold firm. Stand together. We can win this." And against all Imperial expectations, humanity was winning. The Alliance. A small ship slipped through Earth's atmosphere under cover of darkness. It carried no Imperial markings and used a cloaking system that confused both Imperial and human sensors. It landed in a remote area of New Zealand, where a reception committee waited nervously. 5 beings emerged from the craft. They walked on 2 legs but otherwise looked nothing like humans. Their leader, a tall figure with copper-colored skin and 4 arms, stepped forward. "I am Vexinar of Teleris. These are representatives from Morbani, Quar, Helio, and Rigel. We come seeking alliance against our common oppressor." This secret meeting changed everything. Earth was not alone in its resistance. 5 other worlds, long suffering under imperial rule, had been watching Earth's defiance with growing hope. "For centuries, we believed resistance was futile," explained Vexnar to the United Earth Defense Council the next day. "Your people have proven otherwise." John Miller studied the alien visitors carefully. "How do we know this isn't an imperial trap?" In response, Vexnar revealed detailed information about imperial weaknesses, command structures, supply vulnerabilities, and technical flaws in their weapon systems. This was information only true enemies of the Empire would possess. "We have fought them in secret for generations," said the representative from Helio, a being of swirling energy contained in a mechanical suit, "but never coordinated our efforts. Earth has shown that open defiance is possible." Lisa Warren recognized the historic opportunity. "If we combine our knowledge and resources, we can challenge the Empire beyond just Earth." Within days, the Free Worlds Alliance was born. Earth shared its recent technological innovations, while the other species provided advanced knowledge from centuries of struggle. Together, they developed new strategies that none could have created alone. The impact was immediate. Using Tellurian stealth technology combined with Earth's jamming systems, Alliance ships disabled Imperial communications across 3 sectors. Suddenly, Imperial forces around Earth lost contact with their command structure. Meanwhile, coordinated rebellions erupted on 17 Imperial worlds. The Empire, never having faced multi-planet resistance before, struggled to respond effectively. John discovered the crucial weakness in Imperial command through careful analysis of data from all Alliance partners. "Their entire system relies on hierarchical control," he explained. "Regional commanders cannot act without direct orders from sector command. If we cut off that communication..." Maria Sanchez led the daring mission. With a combined team of human special forces and Alliance operatives, she infiltrated the Imperial command ship Dominion that still orbited Earth. Their objective was the central communication hub that linked Imperial forces around Earth to the broader Empire. "We'll have one shot at this," Maria told her team as their stealth shuttle approached the massive vessel. 20 minutes to get in, plant the disruptors, and get out." The mission succeeded, but not without cost. 3 team members, including one of Maria's closest friends, didn't make it back, but their sacrifice changed the course of the war. With their command structure disrupted, Imperial forces around Earth fell into disarray. Some units continued fighting, while others retreated to defensive positions awaiting orders that never came. The Empire, facing simultaneous rebellions across multiple systems, made a strategic decision. Imperial ships began withdrawing from Earth orbit to deal with what they viewed as the more critical threats to core Imperial territories. "They're pulling back," John observed as the massive Imperial battlecruisers broke orbit. "But this isn't over." "No," agreed Lisa. "This is just the beginning." Across the galaxy, word spread of Earth's successful resistance and the formation of the Alliance. Species that had submitted to imperial rule for generations began questioning their masters. Underground resistance movements gained new members and new courage. For the first time in thousands of years, the Galactic Empire faced a genuine threat to its dominance, not from a single world, but from a growing alliance of the oppressed. And it had all begun with one planet's simple declaration: "You are not welcome here." A new beginning. 6 months after the great withdrawal of Imperial forces, a different kind of alien ship entered Earth's orbit. This one came openly, broadcasting on frequencies all could hear. It carried representatives from the Imperial High Council. The meeting took place in the rebuilt United Nations headquarters in New York. The new Imperial ambassador, a tall being with crystalline features, looked nothing like Krelfax. This was deliberate. The Empire wanted to distance itself from its failed conquest. The Galactic Empire formally recognizes the sovereignty of Earth and withdraws all claims to this system, the ambassador announced. We offer normalized relations between our civilizations. Lisa Warren, now serving as Earth's chief diplomatic officer, studied the Imperial representatives carefully. And the other worlds in the Free Worlds Alliance. Do you recognize their independence as well? The Imperial delegation shifted uncomfortably. They had come prepared to deal only with Earth. After tense negotiations lasting 3 days, they finally agreed to recognize the independence of all 27 worlds now part of the Alliance. Not a full victory, John Miller commented as he and Lisa watched the Imperial ship depart. But a beginning. They didn't have much choice, Lisa replied. The rebellion has spread to 62 systems. The Empire is fighting for its survival. In the months that followed, Earth transformed. With technology shared by Alliance partners, humans developed clean energy systems, advanced medical treatments, and faster-than-light travel. The first human-built starships prepared for their maiden voyages. On a warm summer day, representatives from all 27 free worlds gathered in Geneva for the first Alliance summit. The diversity was astonishing. Beings of energy, silicon-based life forms, methane breathers, and dozens of oxygen-dependent species, including humans. Together, we have achieved what none could do alone. Lisa addressed the assembly. But our work is just beginning. Billions still live under Imperial oppression. The summit established new principles for galactic relations: mutual respect, equal representation, shared defense, and cultural exchange without domination. Unlike the Empire's hierarchical system, every member world received one vote regardless of size, technology level, or military power. Meanwhile, John led efforts to root out remaining Imperial influence. Despite the formal withdrawal, the Empire had left behind agents and sympathizers hoping to undermine the Alliance from within. Old habits die hard, John explained to the Security Council. The Empire spent thousands of years perfecting the art of infiltration and subversion. We must remain vigilant. Earth's defense perimeter expanded throughout the solar system. Bases on Mars, Europa, and Titan provided early warning against any future Imperial incursions. Alliance ships patrolled the system's edge, a visible reminder of humanity's determination never again to face threats alone. Perhaps most remarkably, Earth's nations continued their unprecedented cooperation. Old enemies worked together on space exploration, technology development, and defense. The external threat had forged new bonds that proved surprisingly durable, even as the immediate danger receded. On the first anniversary of Earth's liberation, a ceremony honored those who had fallen in the resistance. As the names were read, soldiers and civilians from every nation, Lisa found herself standing beside Vexnar, the Tellurian who had helped form the Alliance. "Your world has changed the galaxy," Vexnar observed. "For the first time in memory, the Empire retreats rather than advances." "We just wanted to be left alone," Lisa replied. "We never sought to change the galaxy." "And that is precisely why you have," Vexnar said. "You fought not for conquest, but for freedom. That idea spreads faster than any fleet." As the ceremony ended, huge view screens showed live images of Alliance ships departing Earth. Their mission: to help liberate other worlds still suffering under Imperial rule. Humans served alongside beings from across the Alliance, united by common purpose. John watched the ships fade into the distance, their engines glowing like new stars. The stars no longer belong to the Empire, he thought. They belong to all free peoples. And Earth, once a tiny isolated world on the galactic fringe, now stood at the center of a revolution that would reshape the cosmos. I notice you're asking for a Part 8, but the story outline I provided earlier was structured as a 7-part story, and we've completed all 7 parts. However, I'd be happy to write an additional part that extends the narrative beyond the original conclusion. 5 years later. 5 years had passed since Earth led the rebellion against the Galactic Empire. The Free Worlds Alliance had grown from 27 planets to over 100 independent worlds. The old empire still existed but controlled less than half of its former territory. John Miller stood on the observation deck of the Alliance flagship Freedom, watching the swirling colors of hyperspace through the massive viewing window. At 52, his hair showed streaks of gray, and lines had formed around his eyes, but his gaze remained sharp. "Admiral Miller, we're approaching Centauri Prime," announced his first officer. "We'll exit hyperspace in 3 minutes." John nodded. Even after 5 years, he found it strange to be called Admiral. The former CIA analyst now commanded the Alliance's largest diplomatic and defensive fleet. Centauri Prime had been an imperial stronghold for centuries. Its liberation 2 years ago marked a turning point in the ongoing struggle. Now it would host the largest gathering of free worlds in galactic history. As the Freedom emerged from hyperspace, a breathtaking sight greeted them. Hundreds of ships from dozens of worlds filled the space around the beautiful blue-green planet. Each vessel represented a civilization that had thrown off imperial control. "Quite a change from when we first left Earth," remarked Lisa Warren, now serving as Alliance High Representative. She had joined John's ship for this historic summit. "Sometimes I can hardly believe how far we've come," John replied. "Remember when we thought we were alone in the universe?" Lisa smiled. "Now we can't find enough translators to keep up with all our new allies." The summit opened the next day in the Grand Hall of what had once been the Imperial Governor's Palace. Representatives from 132 worlds gathered to discuss the future of galactic civilization. Some species were ancient, with histories spanning millions of years. Others, like humans, were relative newcomers. The old empire believed diversity was a weakness. Lisa addressed the assembly. They enforced uniformity and hierarchy. "We have proven that our differences are our greatest strength." The main purpose of the summit was to formalize the Alliance Charter, a set of principles that would guide relations between free worlds. Unlike the Empire's system of domination, the Charter established equality, mutual defense, and respect for cultural differences. Not everything was perfect. Some former imperial worlds had turned to aggressive expansion themselves. Others struggled with internal conflicts after centuries of imperial control. The path to true freedom proved challenging for many. During a break in the proceedings, John received an urgent message. Alliance sensors had detected unusual activity at the borders of former imperial space. Multiple imperial battleships were gathering. "They've been quiet too long," John told the Alliance Security Council that evening. "Intelligence suggests they're planning something big." The Empire, though diminished, remained dangerous. Recent reports indicated a new faction had taken control of the imperial leadership, one that rejected compromise and sought to restore imperial glory through military means. "We knew this peace wouldn't last forever," Lisa said. "The question is, are we ready?" John looked around at the representatives of 132 free worlds. 5 years ago, these species had been subjects of the Empire. Now they stood as allies, each bringing unique strengths and perspectives to their common cause. "We're ready," he replied with confidence. "The Empire never understood what they created when they threatened Earth. They forced us to look beyond our differences. They gave us something more important than technology or weapons." "What's that?" asked a representative from a newly liberated world. "Each other," John said simply. "And that's something they can never take away." As the summit continued, ships from all Alliance worlds began moving into defensive positions. Whatever the Empire planned, they would face not a scattered resistance, but a united front of free peoples. The stars truly belonged to everyone now, and together they would keep them that way.